everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Big thank you to our sponsor, Celebrity Coaches, providing transportation to the biggest names in entertainment. Thanks to Celebrity, we're hitting the road to talk to the pros that make concerts and live events happen. Today, we're on the streets of Nashville, Tennessee. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please leave us a comment. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Today, our guest is a fantastic touring and recording musician. He has been performing and touring the U.S. and internationally for over 3 decades. Some of the artists that he has toured, recorded, and performed with include Del Worley, Mark Wills, Wade Hayes, the Bellamy Brothers, and many others. And since 2012, he has been the bassist and rock-solid foundation of the Easy Money Band behind Mr. TOBY Keith. The pride of Birmingham, Alabama, he is Mr. DINK COOK.
Roll Tide.
Dink, thanks for doing this, man.
Sure, man.
It's
sure,
so
man.
fun to see you. We've been on the road together. We've lived, you a lot of people outside the business. I love to talk about it because you form a family.
Yes.
Even if you're not on the same bus, you ride next to each other. You eat next to each other. You perform and work ungodly hours. So I have to ask you off the bat: if you're watching college football and Bama's not playing, can you root for Auburn?
Wow. Some Alabama fans that I know, if I said yes, would disown me. Some Auburn fans would pass out if I said yes.
Well, yeah.
So it depends on really who they're playing.
Depends on who they're playing, and then maybe if it's a playoff situation.
If they're an underdog.
Underdog. Yeah.
Then
well, it's got to be, at least they're closer to your people.
Yes. If it came down to Alabama not making the playoffs and Auburn making the playoffs, it's about the state.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I do have family that was raised better growing up to wear crimson, and they married into orange and blue. So
yeah. There's a lot of in this area,
but we forgave her a long time ago.
I don't follow a lot of college football, but in this area you can't escape it. You can't these rivalries with Tennessee, Auburn, Bama.
Yep.
And SEC in general.
SEC,
is serious.
Oh yeah.
It's unavoidable, and it also meshes with the music community.
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your playing a little bit. Besides all the artists and recordings and stuff that we'll talk about, you were also made an appearance on the ABC drama Nashville.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Actually, our guitar player, Rich Eckhart, called me to sub for it because the bass player that was doing it, something came up and he couldn't do it, and so he called me up and said, "Hey man, are you free?" I want to say it was like on a Tuesday, and wanted to know if I could come do the show, and I said, "Yeah, I'm all about it." So it turned into about the last four years, I guess, something like that, 4 or 5 years. We were the Luke Wheeler band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah. The bass, that was officially the bass holder for Luke Wheeler.
The bass holder. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
So
It was
I wasn't
awesome.
sure. I watched some of that show in the beginning. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of storylines to follow.
I didn't watch it until
you were on it?
Until my first episode.
But it turned into kind of a regular thing. That's cool.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you were on there once or
no. I was there until it ended. I think the last year, the character Luke Wheeler didn't do a full band episode. I can't remember about the last season,
but your character didn't get killed off, or
no, I didn't get killed.
You get
off.
fired at the club or something like that?
No, not me.
While we're here, let's talk about pandemic, because that's unavoidable.
Yep.
So Tell me what January and February looked like, and then what you're getting ready for, and then what happened in March with you and the band.
Yeah.
That's
Well, they didn't cancel everything right away. You know, they kind of played it month to month.
Yeah. But you had a schedule.
We had a schedule, and what I believe they've done. Don't quote me on this, but I believe they've taken most of those dates and already put them on 2021.
Right.
We do have a schedule going for 2021.
Yeah.
I want to say it starts in April.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I think that's what I saw.
But that's that.
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, but that would be. I think it's optimistic for March or April, and I hope in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take a minute to gradually get back to where it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was glad to see. I checked the schedule, the calendar, and you guys have stuff on there. And
we do
early in the year. And
he just, from what I understand, he just said we're gonna hit a reset button and go kick it in the butt in 2021. So,
right. So what was the last thing you guys did, Toby Keith and the band? So nothing in 2020 at all? Okay.
No.
It's hard to remember.
No, it is. We did a birthday party for Steve Wynn.
Okay.
We all flew. I can't remember where it was now.
It's okay.
All I know is there was literally 3 to 4 feet of snow on the ground.
Wow.
When we flew in.
Wow.
Of course, they had the roads dug out, but we walked down the road and where they had dug out, the snow was up past my waist.
Wow.
I got a picture or two of that. I think.
It was winter.
Yes.
We know it's winter.
It was
so
winter.
It was either late 2019 or early 2020.
Yeah. I can't remember. I can find
out. So do you find? I mean, you have people, you have family and stuff that are not in the business. Do you get a lot of confusion and questions about what we do and why we're not working and things like that on the outside?
Actually, no, because everybody in my family didn't make a living in the business, but they were very musical. Like my mom was one of, God, I hope I get this right, one of 5 sisters.
Okay.
And they had a group back when they were just kids, not kids. I want to say if I had to guess, without me actually having that conversation, they were called the Kimball Sisters, and it was 3 of them. So the music was in the family growing up. Okay. My middle sister was probably the most musical as far as being a singer.
Well, you've been, so they understand it.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they understand the situation.
Oh,
yeah. Everything we do is based on.
They
craft.
think it's cool to do it at the level that I'm blessed to do it.
Sure.
At, especially at my young age.
Exactly. You guys probably would have started back up on the road probably around March, something like that.
No, we usually do our pre-production rehearsals in May.
Oh, okay.
And then we hit it hard.
Yeah.
The end of May.
Yeah.
Till October, November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of outdoor stuff in the summer.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit to when you and I met somewhere around 98, 99.
98, 99.
Yeah.
We've known each other that long.
Yeah, and so we were on the Big George Strait tour together.
99 Strait tour.
And Mark Wills was on there and Jody Messina, and that was a great
the whole lineup. Sleep at the Wheel, Jody,
Kenny Chesney,
the Dixie Chicks, McGraw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was, what a great 18 dates.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
And so somewhere in there, we were trying to figure out, somewhere in there I know I met you through Mark Wills, whether before or after that, or during that tour.
Right.
But you spent a significant portion of his career contributing there and building your road family again. I know you have a good brotherhood with those guys. I know most of those guys, and it's the same thing. We've traveled alongside each other quite a bit.
11 years.
Yeah. And you've done some recordings with him too, as well.
A couple towards the end,
Yeah.
like Billy Bob's thing, and then he did I think it's called Second Time Around.
Okay.
That we did.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Another artist that you played with quite a bit, Wade Hayes,
Yes.
and still.
Love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great friend.
Absolutely.
I do as much as I can that he needs me to do, as long as it obviously doesn't affect with the TOBY thing.
Right.
And
you've done some recording with him as well.
yes,
Yeah.
I have. Actually, his latest single, I think, was called "Who Saved Who." I played on that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, man, it's great record.
Awesome.
If you get a chance.
I'm glad to see him
Bounce
playing
back.
and he bounced back.
He's been through so much. He is a
absolutely.
very lucky and blessed guy.
Absolutely, and super talented too.
Yep.
So I'm very happy for him.
Yep.
I got to check. You got your flip flops, because we can't.
I got him, man.
Okay.
I go nowhere without my flip flops,
Well-
and I get flack
Yeah.
from people on social media if they see a picture of me without my flip flops.
Yeah.
They freak out.
Yeah,
Like,
because-
what?
Because you've
Dink
been.
is wearing shoes?
Yeah, because you wear those in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah. If it's 5 degrees outside, I got them on. I've literally got off a bus before and it was 5 degrees outside and I had these on.
Do you
People
have-
thought I was nuts.
Do you have dead nerve endings?
It's
no blood flow.
it's-
What's happening?
It's funny because I tell people my nose and my ears gets cold first.
Yeah.
My feet feel warm.
Okay.
My ears can be froze and my hands can be froze, but my feet, something about my feet, man.
Wow.
I don't know.
You're fine. You're good with it. Hey, man. Well, that's nice.
It works.
I was gonna say that's incredible, because
So I go through a pair of these
Yeah.
every 6 months.
I'm surprised they're not maroon.
Well, no, see, I'm very particular about my flops.
Okay. But you're still representing
Oh,
with the
Yep,
and your
yep,
ears.
yep.
Your ear
My-
monitors.
my ear monitors. I don't know if y'all can
there's
see
no,
those, but
there's no
yeah.
mistaking
Yeah.
who you're rooting for.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, I do have to put up with a lot of Oklahoma fans.
Oh yeah. Similar.
Half the band,
colors.
TOBY, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Yeah.
So anytime Alabama and Oklahoma play, it's
Oh man. Oh.
it's an event while we're on the road.
Yeah. Especially you probably have trouble riding the same buses. Some of these guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of buses, it's been a while since you've been on a bus.
Well, yeah. This is the second one I've been on this year.
Okay. You feel good? Does it feel good
Oh,
to be back?
it feels great.
It's a therapeutic thing for me.
You might have a hard time getting me off of it because
know.
my body's telling me you're supposed to be on here at least 8 hours at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I could have one parked outside my house, I'd sleep on
Oh,
it.
I would too, man.
Yeah.
I sleep. People think I'm crazy. I sleep better on the bus than I do in my own bed.
Absolutely.
I think
Always.
it's because we've done it for so many years.
So many years, and you got that vibration and stuff,
Oh,
and then you come
man.
home, get in your
Let me
bed.
tell
It's,
ya.
it's too quiet.
It's not me. I'd sleep with the TV on.
Oh man. Well, in all your touring with a lot of these artists, you've done quite a bit of military visits.
Yes.
A lot of that with Judy Seal International.
Yep.
Judy's
Stars and
wonderful
Stripes.
Stars and Stripes. Yeah, and wonderful friend of both of ours, and
Stars for Stripes.
Stars for exactly.
I better get that right.
Exactly.
She'll have my head.
Me too. But tell me about some of those experiences with the soldiers, and you've been to some pretty dramatic locations, I think.
Been to some pretty good ones, man. It's one of those things to where when you go over so many times, they almost all run together, and it's so specific moments are
Yeah.
real hard to.
Yeah.
But I think I've been to Korea 6 times with her. Man, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Iraq.
Yeah.
We were in when Nashville flooded. The day Nashville flooded, we were in Saddam's palace.
Oh. Wow.
And we saw it. We saw it on a TV in the lobby of the hotel.
Oh wow. 2010.
And my youngest daughter called me because she was at the house.
Yeah.
And she goes, Dad, it's flooding here, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's raining hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's flooding. I went, okay, well, if you need me, call me. And then I turn around and look on the TV, and Opry Mills is underwater.
Yeah.
It's like, what the?
Yeah, for those listening, we're talking about 2010. Nashville had what they call the 100-year flood,
Yes.
something like that. It came pretty fast. Nobody was prepared for it, and some of the TV footage was really crazy. You could see.
And we missed. I mean, we missed most of it because we were in Iraq.
Yeah.
You know, I was with Daryl Worley at that time.
Right. So on those military trips, maybe on your first ones or whatever. I mean, what can you talk about that may have gripped you, or that was?
Man, just overall, you know, until you go over there, you don't realize the appreciation
Right.
from the military, the soldiers. I mean, it's like doing a show for them is like Christmas every day for them.
Yeah.
It's they are so starved for just entertainment, something other than gunfire and you know,
and a taste of home.
It's made me really appreciate. Like, I mean, I've been in the music business my whole life, but when I started going over there, that's something that if any entertainer tells you any different, I'd go over there 10 times a year, and I don't want a penny for going.
Yeah.
I mean, don't.
Yeah.
It's just so satisfying to be able to do that for them when they do on a daily basis for us.
Right, exactly. And they show the appreciation too.
Very much so.
Them getting a taste of home.
Yes.
And knowing that people care enough to come over there too.
Yeah. And I was lucky to work for artists that would take the time with each and every one of them signing until the last one was gone.
Yeah.
You know, Mark was great about that.
Yeah.
Daryl was great about that.
Yeah.
Toby's the same way. I
Yeah.
mean, he's been great about that.
Were you you had to take some of the military planes and things like that when you get over there, don't you?
Yes.
Some moving around.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff's not all that comfy.
You see it on TV.
Yeah.
Like Black Hawks flying about 100 yards off the ground, and you don't realize what that's like until you do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky.
Yeah. And to try to put yourself in their place.
Oh, yeah.
All this is all real.
Oh, it's just something we can't imagine.
Yeah. And did you go out to any of the what they call the FOBs, FOBs, forward operating bases? Any of those?
Man, there were a couple.
Yeah.
But it was just something it was so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, there just weren't.
Yeah. It's not for entertainment, that's for sure. But it's an experience that I haven't gone to that. I've been to Korea and that sort of thing, but I haven't been out to any of the near the action.
Yeah.
I did work with some bands that did stay at Saddam's Palace.
Yeah.
And things like that.
We were there. I guess it wasn't too long after they took it over. Because they were still doing a lot of stuff to it. But I remember they had one of his thrones. I guess it was a throne chair, or whatever, still there.
Yeah.
But they had it covered up.
Nice.
That was a cool trip.
It sounds like you almost had no alternative because your family was already in music when you were coming up. So tell me what was the earliest, your earliest thing? Let's tell the story from when you started getting, it just kind of was pounded into your head, or how did?
Well, my sister started singing, and she made her first record when she was 5 years old.
Wow.
And she was singing on a show in Birmingham that we were both raised on called the Country Boy Eddie Show.
Wow.
And she's 1 year and 1 day older than I am.
Okay.
And we started singing together on that show by the time we were, I want to say it was around 8 years old, 9, 10-ish.
Yeah.
It's You know, certain things you can't remember
Right.
the older you get.
But that's how early you were already in the mix
Yes,
of.
I started playing piano. We had an old upright downstairs in one of our houses, and I play everything by ear. So I started playing piano when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
Then I started playing guitar. My dad gave me a couple of guitars. One is a late early '60s acoustic Silvertone that I have hanging on my wall in my living room.
Wow.
And then one is a late '50s electric Silvertone, which I had a gentleman that a lot of people know, Ed Beaver, refinished it for me. So I've got that hanging on the other end of my sofa.
Okay.
And those were the first two guitars that I had, and my dad, you know, gave those to me. And so I started learning how to play guitar. And then by the time I was 14, he bought me my first real guitar, which was I want to say it was a 70s Les Paul Custom.
Okay.
Which I wish I still had it, but that's another story. We all know what that would be worth about now, but exactly. I still wouldn't let it go. He sacrificed a lot to get me that guitar.
Yeah.
But I didn't start playing bass until 1981.
Okay, so you're already out of...
When I graduated high school.
Okay, and that was Irwin High School?
Yes.
Yeah?
Very good.
And
you've done some research.
But I think they, what I saw was that Irwin, like it's not Irwin High School anymore. Now they've turned it into a middle school or something?
Well, from what I understand, it is middle school. They built a new high school out there called, I think it's Centerpoint.
A different
Centerpoint
name.
High School. But I've started seeing pictures where they've started tearing down the high school, which breaks everybody's heart. You know, when you have so many memories of high school in a place like that, and then they start tearing it down.
Yeah, that's rough.
It is.
When you were in high school, you were already doing this thing with your family. You were already in music with your family.
Yeah.
Did you? But you weren't in band in high school.
I
Were you?
I was in band. I took trumpet. I played trumpet in junior high.
Okay.
And I actually started trumpet, I want to say, in elementary school, like fifth grade.
Oh, wow. So at this point, you're already playing piano, guitar, and trumpet.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Drums a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, played drums a little bit at church for the youth choir.
Okay. So you're still playing all that stuff before you you probably knew how to play bass, but wasn't really your interest.
It never even crossed my mind.
And so when you say you learn a lot of things by ear, but in band and in elementary and things like that, did you?
There's a story.
Okay, that's what we're here for.
So, I made it through, I want to say, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th, 8th, and into 9th grade, playing trumpet, and nobody knew this.
Are they just about to find out?
Some people are. But the story is that I played trumpet by ear. I couldn't read music. So all through band, I would listen to what the person next to me was playing, and I would play it.
Yeah.
I finally one time. I can't remember if it was 8th grade or 9th grade. I want to say it was 9th grade. My band director, I think at the time, called me out. You know how they do have people in sections play.
Yeah. How'd you play something on the spot?
I want to say this was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Anyway, they'll say play so and so bar, so and so measure, and yada yada, and he'll go to the number 2 seat or number 2 chair, number 5 chair, number 7 chair.
Yeah.
Well, he called me out, and I played what the guy before me played. I just listened to it and I played it. He says, "That's not what I told you to play." I said, "Oh, okay." So I looked at the music and I played it again. He goes, "Not what I told you to play." I said, "Well,
that's what he played."
That's what he played. He said, "But that's not what I told you to play." And I went, before I could say, "Oh," the bell rang, and I went, like that. And he said, "Need to see you after school." And I'm sitting there, and he goes, "How have you made it in band this long without reading music?" I said, "But I can." He says,
Not fooling me.
he said, "You got a great ear." He said, "You got two options: either learn how to read, let me teach you how to read, or you can't do it." And I went, "I think I'll play tennis." So I played tennis I played tennis.
Wow.
Some in junior high and some in high school, and but I was in the choral department in high school, so there were plays and musicals, and so I was in the choir.
So lyrics is a whole lot easier than having the and you
just
can by ear
the music, you know. And I wound up playing piano some for a couple of the couple of the girls that wanted to just sing.
Yeah.
We might be just goofing around, but
yeah.
So
interesting stuff. Well, you heard it here first. Your Irwin classmates now they know what the deal is.
I want to say that was at Huffman Elementary, all the way through 8th grade. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's
a blur.
It's all a blur.
Okay, so when you graduated from Irwin, what was the plan? Did you already have a plan? Or
I didn't have a plan at all. My
but,
sister had been singing at Opryland USA.
Okay.
In Country Music USA there, and she befriended Roy Acuff and his wife, and he put her at 16, I want to say it was, on the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay.
So she met some of the Opry people. Well, one day, I'm out of school. I get a phone call from a guy, and we won't use any names, but he was the son of one of the Opry members.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey man," he said, "Hey, I met your sister at the Opry, and she told me that you played bass guitar, and man, we need a bass guitar player to go out on the road." And I went, "Yeah, man, I play bass." And he goes, "Well, man, can you have your gear and have your bass and your gear in Nashville in like three days to do rehearsals?" Yeah. And I'm looking around. I don't have anything, obviously. No amp, no bass. I go, "Yeah, man. Yeah, no problem. I'll be there. Give me the address." And so I called my dad at work, and I go,
"Now,
hey.
where were you? Where were you at this time?"
I was at my mom and dad's
in Birmingham.
Yes.
Okay, you were still there. Your sister
yes.
was already up here in Nashville.
Well, she hadn't moved. She would just come up because my mom would come up with her.
Okay.
And
how often was she performing?
She did the summers.
Yeah.
And because of being in school, she didn't do the winter cast. Now,
I see.
Now, one year, my junior year, hey, Bubba, my junior year, Mom let me stay in Nashville.
Okay.
And I went to DuPont High School in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
My junior year.
Okay.
And I worked in wardrobe at Opryland.
Wow. And you were still in high school?
I was still in high school.
Yeah.
So for about 2 years during the summers and winters, I worked, well, for one winter, but I worked in wardrobe handing out uniforms to park employees as they would come to work.
And so while you were doing that, were you able to check out the performances and the stages?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Opryland, which doesn't exist anymore, had several stages. Had a big concert amphitheater.
Many shows, many rides.
Yeah. So you were able to check all that stuff out while you were doing the wardrobe thing.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
So back to playing bass.
Yeah.
So I call my dad at work, and I go, "Hey, Dad," I said, "had an offer to go on the road and play bass guitar with."
Yeah. There's somebody.
Whoever.
Yeah.
Yep. And I heard crickets, and he goes, "Son, you not only don't play bass guitar, but you do not own a bass guitar." I said, "I know, Dad. Hey, we need to talk." So I asked him if he would co-sign with me on a loan to go down to Nuncey's Music in Birmingham, and he agreed to do that.
Yeah.
That I pay him back everything. He bought me an old Fender 74 P bass.
Wow.
Which I wish I knew then what I know now.
I was going to ask you if you had that hanging up somewhere.
I wished. That and old Fender Bassman, I want to say 100, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they let me take the old Chevette. I called it a Shove-It. but they let me take the Chevette to Nashville to do a week's worth of rehearsal. I could hear bass parts.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I've been playing music for so long up to that point.
Yeah.
I could hear bass parts, how to,
Sure.
So I went, man, this is easy, yada, yada, yada.
Rehearsals went well?
I thought they did. Of course, I think back now, and the first song that I ever had to learn on bass, if you want to guess what it was.
The first song you played on bass?
Ever.
Probably something complicated, right?
Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh,
everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
When you're a musician and you play that song, especially when you grew up playing club gigs, house gigs in Birmingham.
It's pretty standard.
5 days a week was your house gig.
Sure.
Growing up playing in Birmingham, you played that song at least twice a night.
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
For how many years?
Yeah.
You get tired of it.
Oh, sure. Tired of it, but so that was the first song you had to play at rehearsal?
Yeah. So anyway, we went to Bruton, Alabama. Was the first gig, so I was able to drop the car off to Mom and Dad. We were driving a van and a trailer, and went to Bruton, and so after we get there, they go, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be the backup band for Little Roy Wiggins, Spec Rhodes, Ernie Ashworth, Justin Tubb, J. Lee Webb, all these Opry stars." And I'm thinking to myself when he said that, I don't know one of their songs.
Oh, okay. So
or who did what.
Right. You were going to be the house band basically for all these acts to come and sing in front of.
Yes, and we didn't find that out till after we put in rehearsals to open with covers.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway.
Every one of them is going to have a handful of songs that you've got to learn.
Yeah. So they said they're going to come in and do rehearsals the day before with us. And I went, and when you're that young, you can listen to a song once or twice and retain it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's easy to memorize. It was easier to memorize when your brain's younger. And so I thought I was doing pretty good. Well, they said that Justin Tubb was going to be the headliner, I think, on this particular show, and so they said he wasn't coming. So I'm thinking, man, that's probably 4 less songs I have to worry about.
Right.
And so the show gets there. We're making it through. I think I'm doing pretty good not to have ever played bass.
First night?
First time ever to play a show playing bass.
Oh, nice.
So it's getting towards the end of it, and all of a sudden they go, "Ladies and gentlemen, now put your hands together for Mr. Justin Tubb." And I'm going, I don't know any of this guy's songs. He wasn't here for rehearsal. So he walks up and he starts handing out pieces of paper to everybody. And I look on this piece of paper and I see all these numbers on it. And I look at the guitar player and I go, "What's this?" And he goes, "Man, that's number charts." And I went, "What's number charts?"
Oh, no.
And in the length of time that he was talking, the guitar player had to explain to me what 145 was. And he said, "Man, you got to figure out the rest." Needless to say, it turned really ugly. It was really ugly, and man, I walked back to my hotel room. I was rooming with the guitar player with my head down because I realized how bad that whole thing was. Yeah. Not just trying to read number charts that I didn't know how to do.
And this was the headliner.
This was
the last part of the
night.
Last part of the night.
So I get to the hotel room. The guitar player goes, "Man," he says, I got to tell you something. He goes, man, the guys already have your rig loaded up in the truck, and they're taking you back home in the morning. They've already got a bass player flying in, and so
wow.
So the next morning, one of the guys gets in the truck, drives me to Montgomery, pulls off on the exit on the way to Birmingham, takes all my stuff out, sets it on the corner of a gas station in the grass, and says, "You're going to have to find your own way back to Birmingham."
Wow.
So not only did I get fired off my first gig, which, shall we go on record and say that is the only gig I've ever been fired off of, which I'm very blessed for that. But I had relatives in Montgomery, and one of my aunts came and picked me up, took me back to Birmingham, and I set my rig up downstairs, my bass on a stand, and I sat there for about 3 hours and looked at it, and I went, you know what? I'm going to learn how to play this, and when I do one of these days, I hope these guys can hear me play, and I can show them that I learned how to play. Well, back last year, I was out doing a show with Wade Hayes.
I love it.
And I hadn't thought about those guys for years.
Yeah.
And I just out of the clear blue went and looked them up on Facebook, which is what's the only wonderful thing about Facebook and social media. Yeah. And I found both of them, and I created a long Facebook message, and I simply said, I don't know if you remember me, but y'all hired me back in 1981 to play bass doing this gig. You and I can both agree that I was the worst bass player you've ever heard. And I said, but I'm writing this to thank you for firing me and setting me on a corner in Montgomery at a gas station, because if it wasn't for y'all hiring me and firing me, I would not have the opportunities that I have today, and I would not be playing bass guitar.
Wow. So that's awesome. And do you know did anybody ever respond?
Yes.
Awesome.
One of them responded, and he let me know that he had been following my career.
Oh, very cool.
And he was really proud of how I wound up and how it turned out.
Absolutely.
And we talked about hooking up and going and eating lunch. We've never done that. Yeah. But I look forward to the day I get to do that.
Well, that's very cool.
So we can laugh about
totally.
the first gig ever.
That's a great story.
Oh,
it's a great story of how you started playing bass.
Yeah.
So what do you think in that moment? Like, you already knew how to play other instruments. Why didn't you just say, well, I'll just go back to keyboard or keys or guitar? All the things that you were doing
because
before.
I hadn't, although I liked playing them, once I got the bass, that's the one that I enjoyed playing.
Oh, okay.
And I know a lot of guys that play several instruments, and I can only name 4 or 5 of them that I've ever played with that play several instruments that are great at every instrument. Yeah. Very blessed. Yeah. They're guys I played with up here in Nashville, even recently, that are just ridiculous musicians on anything that they pick up. But on the average, you don't find too many great guitar players that are great bass players, or great bass players that are great guitar players. Very small handful there. Again, I know a few, but that was the one that interested me, and I immediately was able to come back, work woodshed on my own, get ready, and I started to go play in Birmingham with some buddies that I grew up playing with on the Country Boy Eddie show.
That was the next thing you did?
That was the next thing I did, and we played in a band together and stayed working for about a year and a half. Then I got a real offer from one of the big name guys in Birmingham. Okay. Man, it was like for the next 7-8 years, I never missed a week of work. Yeah. I was always employed playing.
That's awesome. Was there, when you kind of made the commitment to the bass and that sort of thing, was there any players that came along or anybody that you saw that that you necessarily got influenced by?
No, people ask me that. People ask me who my influences were, and
you just wanted to master it.
There wasn't any particular bass player that I listened to that I knew their name.
Yeah.
There was music that I really loved, bass lines and bass parts on. Like love Steely Dan. So some of the Chuck Rainey stuff was really special. And I learned as I got older to appreciate certain players like Chuck and John Patitucci and.
Sure. But they weren't. They're not the ones that got your attention.
No,
you had that experience where you found that instrument.
I felt like I didn't have time for a particular player to get my attention because I had to work.
Yeah.
My concentration was on listening to songs and learning the bass parts.
Yeah.
And I was the type person to where, growing up playing, I wouldn't listen to a song and play what I wanted to it. Right. I would learn the bass parts the way they should be.
Yeah.
And that made me a stickler later in life for wanting to play with guys that learn parts right and and listen to with their ears. If you're on stage playing with somebody, my motto is, if I'm teaching, is don't play with what you want to, play what you need to.
Yeah.
And it's all about listening, not listening to yourself, but listening to everybody on stage and playing where you need to play.
Right. Very cool. When you were in music already, you had performers in your family already when you were at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So going to concerts and things like that, did any of that ever come into play? You didn't really have time for that.
I went to 2 concerts. I have been to 3 paid concerts in my life that I wasn't playing at.
Before you were,
Billy Joel was my first one. Oh God, who was the other one? Actually, I want to say 2.
Okay.
No, ARS, Billy Joel, ARS, and then went with a mutual friend of ours to go see Earth, Wind and Fire at the Ryman.
Oh, okay. And isn't it odd to sit in the audience?
Yeah, very, very much so, because you would mix things different.
Oh yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard not to critique everything.
At a young age, when I went to hear Billy Joel and ARS, it was just the fact that, holy crap, there's Billy Joel and ARS.
Yeah.
When you play concerts for a living and then you go to one,
it's different.
You sit out and you critique.
It's hard not to
sound. It's really hard not to.
It's hard to sit there.
Earth,
and just
Wind and Fire is one of my favorite groups of all time, and I finally got to hear them, and I critiqued through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard to sit back and just try to enjoy it as a, audience
as
member.
A fan or
a
spectator.
Fan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's impossible.
Well, very cool. And so, tell me how you got back here. How'd you get back here in Nashville?
Okay, so you
were playing for 8 years. You said
in Birmingham.
Yeah.
In Birmingham, and then a guitar player that I worked with through those years off and on called me up one day and wanted to know if I was interested in going on the road and playing, because I had played nothing but house jobs. From 81 to 89.
Yeah.
So 1989, I did my first artist job, which I considered my first artist job. Was with Tom Wopat.
Oh, okay, very cool.
From the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
So I played a couple of 2 to 3 years with Tom. First time I ever went overseas was to Frankfurt, Germany, and
with
England with Tom.
Awesome.
So I got tired of playing good old boys. No, that was a great experience to be able to do that. Sitting here thinking about my first road trip ever out of Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and Florida.
Oh, really?
Was with Tom.
And going
to Michigan.
Oh, wow.
We roll in at 6 a.m. and it's out in the middle of nowhere in Michigan.
Oh, no.
And we pull in this little mom and pop family restaurant for breakfast at like 6:30 in the morning, and we all pull up at this big round table. There's 8 of us at the table, and everybody goes around and orders, and I'm just happy to be there, man. I pull up a menu, and I didn't see what I really wanted, so I just, till this day, if I don't see what I want, I just tell the waitress what I want, package it together.
Yeah.
So I go through, 2 eggs, bacon, egg scrambled, and toast. And I said, oh yeah, I want a big bowl of cheese grits. And I look, and all of a sudden the expression that the guys at the table are going like that, and I'm looking at them like that. And about this time, I look at the waitress, and she's got this look on her face like this, with her hand on her hip. She looks at me, and she leans down, and she goes, if you want grits, I'll bring you a bowl with some water in it, and you can go outside and scrape up some sand and put it in it. And she turns around and walks off, and I'm like, and all the guys are going, don't ask for grits up north. They don't eat grits up north. Of course, this was in 89. Things have changed a little bit since then.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience of being out of the South ever and eating.
Very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so I did the thing with Tom, and then I left Tom. He was doing a lot of the Broadway stuff still, and he had us on retainer. Yeah. Which was very cool. So we wouldn't work for 6 months, then we would go out for 6 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, that ended, and I went back to Birmingham and played with a group in the 90s. We tried to get a record deal, which it was the best vocal band I've ever been in, and we got to work with if you know who Chips Moman. Okay. If you remember Chips, he was producer for Elvis, Waylon.
And what was the name of the band? Do you want to talk about the name of the band? If you don't have to.
I'm trying to. God, I can't remember. But we had 2 different names to it.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Oh my God! And one of the guys is still one of my dearest friends.
You're trying to get a record deal. You got to remember that.
Oh my God!
That's okay. It's been a while.
Oh crap!
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, I'll think of that. Crap. I need to say my first cuss word. So.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Okay, but where were you still based in Alabama?
This was in Muscle Shoals.
We
were based out of Muscle Shoals.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, we worked with Chips, and through no fault of our own, we had a second producer that we had been working with that screwed the whole ball of wax up because they had 3 labels that were interested in us. Yeah. Most of the labels were comparing us to Gibson Miller, which was hot at the time.
Yeah.
And anyway, but they were still willing to take the chance. And then the producer that we had been using, which was a nobody, in my opinion, went to the meetings and said that he needed to be reimbursed for everything he's put in from the signing bonuses. And Chips walked. So we didn't find out till about 3 months later what had gone down. And anyway, that went south, and so I started playing with a group out of Nashville called Southern Exposure, which was with a guy named Cody McCarver.
I remember the name.
Cody was a great little singer, and he also played with Confederate Railroad, played keys with them for a little while. But I was playing with them and became friends through another guitar player buddy of mine with Mark Wills. Okay. Before Mark had really got his deal, he was working on trying to get a deal, and he would come to Nashville, and we'd go meet at Waffle House and have breakfast in the middle of the night. And so we were friends before I went to work with him, and I was on the road with Exposure, and I got an email because that's all we had then.
Yes.
And it was an email from Mark saying you need to call me. And so I called Mark, and he goes, "Hey man, are you ready to go to work?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Are you ready to go to work?" He says, "Well, I'm making a change on bass." I said, well, when are auditions? And he goes, "That's not what I asked you. Are you ready to go to work?"
Wow.
So he offered me the job before they considered doing auditions, which I was very blessed that he would do that. So that lasted 11 years.
Yeah. So with Southern Exposure, did you move here to Nashville?
No.
Okay, you were still coming out of
I was
Alabama?
still coming out of Alabama. I would drive to Georgia,
Right.
where the drummer lived.
Yeah.
We would hop in the truck, and we did a circuit in Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia. There was a club in, I can't even think of where else. We did Catalani's.
Okay.
If you remember Catalani's, Blackie's was in Virginia. But we did a circuit for about, I guess I was with them for, I want to say 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
When I went to work with them after I had left Muscle Shoals, I went and worked in Orlando at Church Street Station.
Oh, okay.
I was in the house band there.
Remember that place?
I was in the house band at Church Street Station at the Cheyenne Saloon.
Very cool.
When Cody and the band came there to talk to me about going to work with them. I was ready to get out of humid Florida at the time. And so went to work with them. That turned into the Mark Wills thing. And then was with Mark 11 years and got an offer with Daryl. Went and played with Daryl for 2 or 3 years, and then got the offer from Toby.
Very cool. When you were bouncing from these different house gigs and bands and things like that, is there anything you can remember that you turned down? Just wasn't for you?
Man, not really. Everything was. My whole musical life has been like pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean,
progression.
Yeah, it's like
it's awesome.
The next piece that goes down, it's like it was meant. It was, that piece was the piece that was supposed to go down for my career.
Right.
As far as I've done other auditions. I've done a couple of auditions that were at a bad time in my life. I actually did an audition for Trace Atkins.
Okay.
And I did an audition for Lone Star.
Okay.
But both of those auditions were at a time where my mom was in ICU.
Oh, I see.
And really sick, and I was in Birmingham most of the time. Man, I didn't have time to
prepare.
I mean, they were last minute auditions. I didn't prepare well. So I walked into those knowing that I wasn't ready, and they were not how you want to do an audition in Nashville.
I got you.
But other than that, everything that I did, everything happens for a reason.
Well, exactly. Everything happens for a reason. You weren't in the right space, the right mind space, and everything else, but it worked out. Everything's worked out fine.
Right.
So you mentioned earlier about teaching. You still teach?
I do still teach every now and then.
You're still available?
I am available. I actually am getting ready to. I've been working on a bass project.
Okay.
I've been working on that off and on for a couple of 3 years.
Yeah.
I've just kind of taken my time at it, using different players for it. It's a smooth jazz type
cool.
project.
Nice.
But hopefully by, I won't say the first of next year because everything's probably still going to be crazy, but sometime next year we hope to have that finished.
So what about any other projects you're working on that you can tell us about or be looking for? Yes.
Have a lifelong friend of mine that I grew up playing ball with, he and his brothers, and great friend of mine. He's lives in Alabama.
Okay.
We've talked about doing something similar to this, but in a different way.
Setting.
Different setting. I want to get to where I'm set up to teach.
Okay.
Online, maybe Zoom or
virtual lessons,
and then do some interviews with musician buddies of mine that play with other artists. And, just
you got to get your own dog. Sorry, man.
Well, I mean, I had a couple of dogs. I had a couple of Siberian Huskies. They're both passed since, and I, with me being on the road and being alone,
right.
It's hard to take care of.
Doesn't hardly make sense.
No, it's hard for me to do it unless I've got
a
roommate. Which my roommate, I'm not putting a dog off on him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not a big inside dog
Okay.
kind of guy. So,
Yeah, I got you.
anyway, yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we have a couple meetings coming up where we're going to
Well, that's cool.
get this thing rolling.
When people follow you and they find out about it, then they'll know what we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Another cool thing that I saw is that you've got a couple of basses that were made for you, Signature Series.
Well, they were never produced as Signature Series, but
They got your stamp of approval.
yeah. I've had a few of them built for me.
So I saw the Phoenix DC.
Yeah. That was an Electra brand.
Okay.
Somebody's of mine. Electra was a brand that was famous in the 70s. They were the competition of Gibson, I believe, at the time.
Yeah.
But they reopened that company.
Okay.
It was shut down in '84, I believe.
Yeah.
But they, when I started with Toby, they started making some basses for me.
They had the Alabama inlay.
Yeah, had the
On the
Alabama inlay
neck.
on the 5th fret, and
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
it's
And then I also saw a flag bass.
yes, the flag bass is I have given it to my same friend that we're doing.
Okay.
I think we're going to, or he's going to put that into an auction.
Okay.
At some point, maybe
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. Because you played it a lot on Toby's shows, right?
Yes. Yeah. For the first 2 or 3 years, I played those basses
Yeah.
along with another company that they had called Cracker Caster, and they built me a couple of basses under the Cracker Caster name
Very
as
cool.
well.
Is there anything else or anybody else we didn't talk about that you want to? Anything that any particular events or
highlights of
of what you've done?
of what we've got to do, like getting to go to Australia with Toby was spectacular.
Yeah.
We toured over there. It's been about 4 years now.
Yeah.
Since we were over there. I was blessed and got called to go do a South African Sri Lanka tour with the Bellamy Brothers.
Wow.
So I spent some time. I spent about a year off and on going out with them while they were in the middle of a change, and so getting to do South Africa and Sri Lanka was pretty spectacular.
Absolutely.
Not just to get to play with legends like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
those guys.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows the Bellamy Brothers. I mean, who gets to be asked to go sub that gig?
Well, but the Bellamy Brothers.
Yeah.
You're still been able to do some stuff with the Oak Ridge Boys, who are legends still playing.
Well, I went out and subbed for Scotty Simpson,
Yeah.
one of my dearest friends,
Yeah.
bass player. He had to have some surgery done this year,
Yeah.
and about 2 or 3 months ago, I went out and did a couple of shows
Very cool.
with the Oaks. That was
man.
That's quite the treat.
Absolutely.
More legends,
Yeah, man.
getting to play with guys like that.
That's awesome.
And they treat you so well. I mean, the whole band and crew was spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Austin Cucuruto, great drummer.
Great drummer.
All right. Well, let's talk about food, man. What kind of diet are you on these days?
Anybody who knows me will tell you I'm the pickiest eater you've ever met.
Oh yeah. Okay. So catering and after
you
show
know,
food and all that stuff.
I'm the normal junk food eater. I love burgers, fries, pizza.
Okay. What's picky about that?
But well, nothing picky about that.
Condiments.
But
Condiments a thing.
But well, but I was never like growing up.
Yeah.
My mom always fixed, like, from the time we were kids till the time we left the house, she fixed 2 big meals a day, whether it's breakfast and dinner or lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
But she never, they never fixed anything from, any kind of special cuisine like.
Was it just the meat and potatoes kind of thing?
It was meat and potatoes and vegetables, man. It was not
basic.
It was not
extravagant.
It wasn't French food. It wasn't Asian food. It wasn't Mexican food.
Yeah.
Is that the right word to use?
Sure.
Okay. I want to be politically correct, but the closest thing to anything outside the box that they fixed was tacos, and her tacos were pretty spectacular.
Oh, nice.
But never fixed anything as far as like big seafood dishes.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big seafood eater other than fish.
Yeah.
Fried shrimp, maybe some.
So when you say that you're a picky eater, like when you walk into catering, are you just
Look, man, I don't consider it picky, but when I go to restaurants,
it takes you a minute to order.
And all the guys with Toby are fixing to laugh about this story. We went to a Mexican place that we always stop in Mexico. I think it's Mexico. Maybe it's Arizona. I can't remember. And they're laughing right now because
New Mexico, you mean?
Yeah, that one too.
So there is a difference.
Yeah, there is. Okay. I've been to both. So
okay. Okay.
So anyway, we ordered. We were sitting there. This is my first time to go, and I love cheese dip, like the white queso cheese dip.
Oh yeah.
So, I asked him if they had white queso, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we have that." So when he brings me this bowl of the yellowest cheese dip with tomatoes and onions and green peppers all on top, and I'm looking at it, and I don't eat any of that. No tomatoes, no onions, no peppers. I don't do mushrooms, olives.
Yeah.
And all this is on there, and I'm looking at this, and I looked at the guy, and I went, "This ain't white cheese dip," like that. And all the guys just, ever since that's happened, they give me so much crap about yellow cheese dip. So that made me the pickiest eater that you've ever known.
I got you.
Along with a few other things.
So when you go back to Alabama, is there something you got to have? Is there something they have there that we don't have here? What's that?
Yes. Johnny Ray's Barbecue.
Okay.
I was raised on that from the time that the original one was in Roebuck Shopping Center in Birmingham. And then something that people here know of but don't know about. Yeah. Everybody's heard of Milo's Tea. But
Milo's Tea, yeah.
But what people don't know is that Milo's is a burger chain in Alabama.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. And so that's
that is a thing.
You got to do that.
They have their own burgers and their own sauce that's different from anything you'll ever eat.
So they're just not expanding out of there.
They had burgers, fries, and sodas.
Right.
Before they ever had
we got to get
tea and chicken.
I got to check that out.
It's amazing.
But they haven't expanded outside of Alabama yet?
No, it's only in Alabama. And the first one was downtown Birmingham in a little shack. And I remember my mom taking me and my sisters down there. And the shack was no bigger than half of this bus, maybe even smaller.
Wow.
And we would walk up, and all they offered was burgers and fries and sodas. And that was it.
So when you go there now, what do you order? Take me through the Dink's burger order.
You're talking about at Milo's?
Yeah.
I usually get a number one, which is a Milo's burger with sauce. I order it without onions because they come with onions.
Yeah, unless you tell them.
No onions.
Yeah.
And the combo is fries and a Diet Coke.
You got lettuce, tomato on there?
No.
Mayo, mustard?
Nothing except the sauce. And
so sauce,
that's what it comes
patties and
up.
cheese.
No cheese. It comes. No, okay. The basic burger comes with the meat, the sauce, and fried onions.
Okay, you got to take the onions.
So when I ordered, I just order a number one without onions.
Okay. And it just has their sauce. That's okay.
Their sauce.
The sauce is sauce.
People are watching this going, this guy.
No, man. Listen, everybody has their thing.
Listen,
everybody has their thing.
So that's that, and of course Sneaky Pete's hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Is something my dad and I used to do when my dad was alive. When I was a kid, that was mine and his thing. They have a Sneaky Pete sauce, which you can buy it bottled. It's a very unique sauce.
Sneaky Pete sauce. Okay.
And the hot dogs come with hot dogs with sauerkraut and mustard. And the Sneaky Pete sauce.
Now, are you keeping that stuff on there? Are you keeping the sauerkraut?
I will keep that stuff on there.
Okay. See, I'm surprised because...
But that's not what I always get. I usually get 2 of those, and then I'll get 2 of their chili slaw dogs, which are amazing.
I was going to ask you about chili. I got to have chili on a hot dog.
Chili slaw dogs are amazing.
Like coleslaw?
Yeah.
I can't
man.
I can't do that. I can't do the sauerkraut either.
See, you're picky. Look.
The chili, man. I got the chili and cheese.
Our guys would call you picky because you don't eat
No, I just
slaw.
I just know what I
sour.
want. I just know what I want. Well, man, this has been so much fun. We could probably go on for another hour or so.
I know we could. I got stories, man.
Oh, I'll bet you do. You had some great stuff there. So for the viewers and listeners, if you get a chance to see Toby Keith live, and you will, make sure you wave at the Alabama boy playing bass guitar.
I always have my Bama hat on, one of them.
There you go, and flip flops.
No, not with Toby. The only shows I've ever done with Toby with flip flops was when I first started with him. The first thing that we did outside of here was Guam and Hawaii.
Okay.
And we all wore shorts and flops.
Yeah.
And
that was the only time.
That was the only time I've ever worn flip flops
so
on stage.
There's somewhat.
I wear shoes, people. I do own shoes. I do go to the gym. I do have tennis shoes.
And there is some sort of a dress code for Toby's band.
Not really.
You think he'd let you play in flip flops?
He wouldn't care.
He wouldn't care.
Let me tell you what, man. I've been so blessed.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how blessed.
Yeah.
Not only to work with such great singers like Mark and Daryl and Toby at the level that he's at, to have the opportunity. I'm beyond blessed to be doing what I'm doing at the level I'm getting to do it at, especially at an older age.
Well, listen, man, going back to those moments of you starting on bass and then getting put off the bus, put on the curb with your bass and deciding that you're going to master the bass. I've been around you and I've seen you and heard you. You're passionate about what you do.
Very much.
And I'm happy to see you at this level and look forward to all the stuff you're going to be doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dink Cook, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you thought by leaving us a comment. You can also follow us on these social networks. And if you want to see more, please like, share, and subscribe.